Galchish yuxatini achana ltakat yuan. Asachtu yake wuchin khasati. Ch'áakw ʼatángi aya. Utisa ach itliatke. Qanakwe wuke. Khasaku ush guchsa awe. Khote weta adutsa awe achiti. Khasaku. Qal Zach Jones. Qanakwe yake. Adeyeji wune the Alaska Heritage Institute. Atlein q'u awa hastu q'eitq kauduja hit. Ye awa hatu wasagutsu. Like kauduja hit ye awa. Wasa achtu wasagu q'nachawe watisa achi. Qakatusha hit. Dasa awa yu hasqawla at dasa daat. Daat sawe aya achtu wasagu khasaku. Aqa awe ch'u ya hastu q'eitq. Q'nachawish te gachtul tu. Aqa I gachtul tu. Ye awel te kataye jine. Tlakwe lengich te gachtul tu. Aqa awe I gachtul tu. Aqa ye awa hatunach aya achtu wasagu. Kawadai awa hayu ʼatángi. Tleidihin awa ach. Ya tleik a yanwáatxʼ lakotach sati. Hu awa adati jiwane. Yiltekat yilingit ane ka. Ade ka. Wasadu wasago at. Ka. Yakashinaguti awa. Ade yakashinagut. Yiltekat yilingit ane ka. Yakashinal at. Aqa awe. Atlein q'u teenage wane. United Nations. Atlein q'u lingit ane qeik aya. Hastu inawa akawanik. Wasa hakakawaha. Yashikat q'u yak. United States. Tlidzi awe du yejene. Ha ina kawanik da. Hu awe qatuwa wuz. Wasa yeji yene. Gwal kakwa aqawe. Qadachawe ke guchlitzin. Wik'an. Tellach tuash gu qadachawe. Khatulakani. Wasa yegachtu tlaq qa'uhan. Gwal tleqa awe achkataga. Gwal tleqa qadeich. Ye awa ha ina kawanik. Jitlakawe daat. Qeshidaqich. Qeshaqich. Gicht. Talkadin khasaku. Aqa awe. Witsutat awe. Qone aya. Shkach daqaq. Achtu wasagu. We ekhwasaku wasadu wasagu at. Gwal. Ha anikach. Datyach sawe. Gwal tsiksh. Atunach aya tlaldasak huwastien. Gwal yanne eid. Achtu wasagu. Yanne eid yachat gati. Ataldasa atuch. Achtu wasagu ltakat yakusti. Ja achtunach awe akautlitz. Achtunach awe outlet ooze. Gwal qan aya. Qan aya yitlashati. Qane awe. Qaqodich. Ya ituwu. Ituwu awe yana yachati. It was a good ltakatat. Atunach awe. Wutlitz ease. Aqa awe we tlal ushke at kakhwa ach awe jachanaqi. Ya hashagun. Hasqewa wuz qa. Hashaginya. Ach iti tishi yuhan. Gwallach jidach aya gachia aya tlallach tuwa ushku. Yakodach yadalli at achje yakad achje kaya nach awe yadal. Ajoe chatsu kacha aq. Tlallach tuwa ushku. Ya ach yadki haste in kachanik. Tlallasa. Wasa. Tlallasa kakki u. Qantin. Tledzi aya qan. Wan qanins kia aqawe at kinuk. Aqawe qan chuoya. Tldekat yede. Ikarsagud. Tlallach tuwa ushku. De awa achtu uke ya haina kawanika daat. Wan qanins daatawe yutachotank. Wasa yegachtu tlaq. Ajoe kacha aqawe qasakhan qatilla antin. Wan qanins kalkadein achtu ushke. Atlen qu'ud kalkadein hasakawa aqa yuqatangi at khaslagehi. Wan qanins achtu yanika daat. Kacha aqo aqadein yuqatan adan. Wan qanins yeyachwaka guk day. Wan naxsawi tlashas de qetrisa ahi. Choya just niya itika. Aye wuti atlen ahashagun. Nik atcha hastil qayi. Klingit yeha yaw saqa. Haku chunk haku. Ha incha. Jahastil khank ayaqanu. Aqaqatinka kiha. We hastil atchai. Choya hatu atchai awa hastil yuqatangi. Di awa. Gulchishach edisa ahi. Yitua gesagu klingit qinach yuqiatani.
Just play when it's khosatin Ch'áakw ya video kach o'clock Dane Andrew Johnson 8 khosaach gunalchish to ʼatángi tlashtu tuwa ushkuan de National Geographic hastutia daat hasakaushi dia one ganins askutu adi 10 wushk autu laat denaka qinachtu hashaganyatsu akha clash prayer yachiti just autu adi ye owe achtandatani gunalchish
Echa gulchish. Daqasa yituasa guduch edrech tisa ahi. Oops. Oh, okay. Gwashukwa aya yiqaqwawus adusa waquu. Yanachike yadua. Shukwa adusa isakuga. Jav ach Ch'áakw ya chunkian chan hasakawanik adusa. Isakuga.
just kicks adi dachkhanawa
Echosakut lingit sai pek qoa. Tlail qaq inach sai pek. Cyrus pek yeowa. Hoqa kicks a dich sati. Ichtik ish, you do a saukling, get renach, A.P. Johnson, Andrew P. Johnson. Telka. A Huh. The Yisikuge adusa, Kwashisaku.
Forced to it.
Forced to it, yeah. Yachtitan Hagesity. Echwaji. The Tlinket side to Tlechasaka. Hoko Atlain tapes a kausha hit Tlinket Renach Katitlatin. Goshach Jew at a Gakakwashi. Hoko Yisikuge.
Hash ʻatkáke.
The side to Kausha hit Guksa. Glas G. Harry Bremner. Daat Ch'áakw. Gwi húchi ai.
Ie gaat nu wasa doe sa Lingi chénach.
Glach C.
Na sé.
Ach C. As du Lingi sa Ch'áakw too. Ai dat gwell llach G. Llagatas du ai. Hoko Helchan has a cawni gwe cwchia cach. Gwelliach ko kleinach Johan. Iachadja sa ka kitchnarch away. George Davis.
George Davis. Yeah.
Yadu has to saku. Saipek ka guantan, A.P. Johnson kiksadi, Forrest DeWitt yichtitan, glach se gnech kwan, kitchnarch deishitan. Each tuyik ach yitas with this she. Ya ach tuasagu a klein ch'áakw hasu hasawa achi. Hasaka achit hasqa achit ya kakach Ch'áakw kakach tu shahid dasa o you hasqawlat. Daqasa a dati jikach tu neqoa. Daqasa. Llengit qinach ya ichtek ish qnakhwe awshkugen. Gleit qinach yuqewatan qoa. Daqasa kakach Ch'áakw.
Dak asa ko gwash A.P. Johnson.
Gleit qinach qoa. Ikshe.
Oh, one ganins Lingi chénach so ye chodzi.
A qaqach tu shi gwalkiwe.
Ya adayo qatanat ya daat.
Oh, we do
Ya adayo qatanat ya daat. Yo qatanat ya daat. Ya adayo qatanat ya daat. Ya adayo qatanat ya daat.
Dasa iach.
Ya adeye kwatan. Ya yidat.
Ya adayo qatanat ya daat.
Gwell ada.
Ada yukakwatan. Yayidat.
Ya adayuk akwatanat yai dat.
Atagay ach.
Tan.
Atya.
Yanwáatxʼ.
Ya adayuk akwatanat yai dat.
It shouldn't be short, but it sounds short, right?
Ya adayuk akwatanat yai dat.
I think I'll leave it long. Oops, I missed that. Yeah, oh, there it is. What's that name? Okay. Ya adayuk akwatan atyayi dat. Wasak akagachtunik.
Siya yanaka.
Wasak akagachtunik. Wasak akagachtunik. How are we going to translate it? Wasak akagachtunik. It's got so basically, if you take the like a kawanik verb, or kananik, and if you put right in front of it, right in front of ka, now you've got translate. Guk kananik. Or you could say, there's gonna come a time where we're gonna be we won't fill their shoes, but we'll stand in their spots, and then we'll say, Keshk haku. Achjayis kananik haside. Nephew, come here, or niece, translate for me to them. Then we say it all in Tlingit, and then the beads of sweat, and they got to translate our words. I've been on the other side. I was like, okay, I'll try. Oops, I didn't add I got to add the other tier. I forgot the step. Hold on. Think about your translation while I add a tier. Yeah, I got to do all the steps. I forgot a thing. Okay. There is the ut in there. Like I hear that ut. So I'd probably shift it just a little bit because of that. Ya adayu akakwatan at yai dat. I'd probably say this thing I will speak about here, or now maybe. May change, match the font. Okay.
Yatleit ka.
Give you the
Ch'áakw.
wasach akagachtunik.
The white people.
Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia. Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia. Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia.
I think I hear a T.
Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia.
It probably gets flattened.
Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia.
Ooh, hold on.
Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia. Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia.
Okay.
Ch'áakw.
So one of the sort of patterns here is when you have this ade and yeah, or if you just have yeah on its own. Sometimes there is this vowel right here, and it stays low. It will always be low, and it will usually cause this one to be low as well. This is just sort of one of these things where, like, once you sort of put this thing, the yeah after the verb, it just tends to flatten things out. But sometimes I wonder. I usually try to write it low, but then maybe it is high, right? But maybe there's, if we listen to it, it might be.
Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia.
Sounds kind of low to me. Technically, a lot of times, if there's no vowel in the classifier, you don't need this vowel as well. So you'll hear speakers say, yanwáatxʼ, a person walking. But then they'd say, wugutiqa. So then you'd get the suffix when you have a vowel in the classifier. But and so there's no vowel here, but I am hearing, this sounds kind of like a K, but I am hearing this vowel. So I would probably say, let's write it as a GI. Because I think also sometimes going from yanwáatxʼ, it's just a little bit of extra work, so the vowel probably pops up just to make it easier. Or do you have any thoughts?
Sorry, why is there no classifier in the, no vowel in the classifier?
In this case, there's some, like you could say, so there could, like, I would kind of expect this,
Ataha daat yuqafat kinuchia.
but like, so if we sort of, you could also have it like that, right? And so what we're getting, and this is something also where there's a little bit of a gray area. So a lot of times when you have, when you have a na conjugation verb, you're going to get, and they're going to put it into this thing that happens regularly. You're going to get you here, and then you're going to get a K at the end. So you'd say, let me find an example of it. So if we go in here, we should be able to find a few examples of this, where you're going to get, like if I say, go to the neek verb, right? So that's one I know that has it. So we see here, to tell about something, and we scroll down, and we look at the repetitive imperfective. Because it's na conjugation, you're going to get you. I would expect that to be low tone, and then a K at the end. So another place that you're going to get this, but here you do have a 0 classifier, so it's minus I, or else it would be ʼatángi, right? And you get those 2 K's in a row. But there was a group of us, maybe it was Ch'áakw, one of us was noticing that there were some of them where the classifier was plus I, and it's in this form. So we reached out to Zeus James Crippen about it, and one of them would be ton. So we'll start with this verb ton, to speak. So I'm kind of going all over the place here. So we go down to ton. We got to sort of really kind of cruise around to look for it. And it's not the 0, but it's going to be this one. So this one, and we know it's N because we'll say tan, speak. And if we go down, then we should see you and then you also have you right, where that is a plus I, and it switches to a minus I when it goes to the noun form, where you get you ʼatángi. But that's where that word comes from, you ʼatángi. For the plural version, I would say there's probably 2 different ones that we might be looking at here. And let me find them. I think there's also, oops, that's this one. So if we go down, so here's a 0, so to think about something. If we go down and look for a repetitive imperfective, you still get it here. A da, you, hus, tu, sh, atk. And so here you are getting a plus I minus D classifier. Single, the people are plural, but they are thinking about it themselves. And if we go down, we'll start looking for the talking ones. So here's talk to. And if you go down to talk to, you get has ʼatángi. And you're not getting the U popping up or the K at the end, because it's a different verb, so it's got a different pattern. And then here's one to make a speech. This one should have the U, and we get you has ʼatángi. So this has the I, so you would also expect ade use ʼatángi, the way they speak. Then there is this other one here, which is to converse. And if we go down, we might find you has ʼatángi. So then this one also has the pattern. But this is one, so you might say people are talking. And what the meaning is, there are people over there and they are talking. You're not saying who they're talking to, but if you switch it to conversing, sometimes it will just go plus D because they're talking to each other. And that would be sort of a very slight meaning shift, I think, where you're like, oh yeah, they're conversing. Like that one's talking with that one's talking with that one. But if you're talking about 2 people and they're conversing with each other, even without wooch or wooching in front of it, sometimes it'll just go. And that's the difference between the plus D form for me. But what's interesting is this should still be plus I. So it's just, another thing I think that you have, if you examine some of the old stories, there are patterns where speakers drop the I out of the classifier. And I don't know enough about it, but what's really wild is if you look at daat, when you look at that story, you'll find some classifiers that are a TL classifier. That's because he dropped the I out of the DLI classifier, which means without a vowel, it goes back to its consonant form, which is all just like mind-numbing stuff. So I don't know why, but it sure sounds like the vowel just drops out of here. Because I would probably expect this one to be that, but some of these old speakers would regularly drop even the plus I vowel, which I always thought could not be dropped.
Is that something to do with nooch? Okay.
Oh, that could be, because nooch should push it back to plus I, and then maybe it's easier to just drop it all together. Or if it was DLI and then nooch pushes it back to minus I, then that would be the minus I form of it. That's a really good, I love that theory. Ch'áakw. What did Shkuyesh say? Yakutzagate akatash. Smarty pants.
Madeline, Tim, yeah. Disayi, yeah, kudzige tukataki. Disayi.
I think we might have even killed money on that at one point. Really made it official. Okay. Ade hadat yuchash atkinuch. Yeah, so this, when you put nooch, that's a really good point. When you put nooch on the end of a verb, it should push it minus I. That's another thing. I should have seen that.
I think we're still looking at the verb database.
Oh, oops. I didn't switch back. Okay. Now we got to translate this part. Oh, there's a, hold on. I think I missed a part too.
Kinuchia.
Oh, it's on there. I just can't see. There. And it's interesting.
Atahadat yuchafat kinuchia.
I would expect that, but I certainly don't hear it, which is just fine, right? We'll see all kinds of things that there could be things there that we don't know as well.
Would that be some of like where they're all from too? Because they're all from all over Southeast or all over Shingatani. The
Yeah.
different dialects.
Sitka, Yakutat, right? And so really watching for some of the way that they apply some of these rules is sometimes dialect driven.
Aya.
Oops. So you can start a new sentence with aya or awa, right? And these are two things right in a row, the and then the aya or the and the awa. And it's a little bit different than starting it with aya or awa. And let's see, how was I translating this? I forget now. Anybody have a thought?
Is he kind of yeah? Is that like making an emphasis, like he's about to refer to something? This is.
Yeah, like, so maybe you could say like, this is it. And we,
Yeah.
Or this, is it like this here right now?
yeah, right. So it just does something a little bit different than aya and awa. And so it's sort of like, and what it does is it really calls focus. It's like, you got to really focus on this thing because we're going to have this other thing to say about it.
Take kwateai dat. Take kwateai dat.
Okay.
Take kwateai dat. Take kwateai dat.
So that's not the way it is now.
Take kwateai dat. Take Quatea daat.
What are you folks hearing with that first sound?
A,
Did you say K, like K-E-I?
Oh, see, I heard it wrong.
Take Quatea daat.
That's it, but yeah, that's very easy to hear like a TL in there. Like, but it might be sort of like what your brain might be expecting, perhaps.
Take Quatea daat.
That's what I hear. But what is it?
It's the way it is this moment.
Well, we do have the quati verb, but the K in front of it probably gets us away from the yeyati, yewuti, yequati verb and more towards like there's a different T verb that actually has the same classifier. So it does become, we usually don't see it so much in a form like this though, which is kind of interesting. But I've heard and worked on some language from Ch'áakw, and he said something like this too. So I have a theory. I have a way that I would probably translate it, which would be I would say it's a carrying verb. So like ʼatángi, it's that one, right? But then it's got K in front of it, which is really interesting because now it's got to be, it's a low tone K as well,
Take Quatea daat.
which means it's got to be a G conjugation verb. And so, yeah, like, I think,
We
Is it
will.
like when, so, Nila said, I will carry it, but is it like, isn't K like up? I will carry it up, or I will bring it up?
it does have, it's kind of an upward thing. So there's something, and as we go through and see what comes after, like, what I would probably say is, yeah, I'm going to bring it out. I'll bring it out now, maybe. And we usually translated this too as like, I'm going to bring it. Because like, he would, Ch'áakw in that video with yanwáatxʼ, she was getting real excited. And he just kept saying, I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring it. And then he just like said these great big huge things, right? Maybe something like that. Yeah, I like that. Unearthing, bringing it out.
Tasir Linkachak Ayahin. 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 Tasir Linkachak Ayahin.
Dasa. You sling it at Ayahin. That I'm hearing.
Oh,
Tasir Linkachak Ayahin.
Probably
That's
gonna
Chalk. Is that like old?
probably put these two together. Dasayu. There might be a suffix on tlingit.
Tasir Linkachak Ayahin.
Do you hear that?
Chalk.
yeah, just,
Oh.
Next is gonna be and then the verb.
Ayahin.
It might not be a question. I'll put a question marker on there. I might come back and fix it. Remove it later on.
Tasir Linkachak Ayahin.
what do Tlingit people believe in?
taasiul
That's a good translation. Right, so you got the ʼatángi, and this can be, it could be a different noun, right? So I could say ʼatángi. They believe what you said. So, and maybe I'm telling you because you really fooled them. No, I'm just kidding. But then you could say ʼatángi, and you just have believe in it. So this sets up the question, but it could also be just a statement. Like I could say, because when he says, I'm going to bring it out now, what the tlingit believe in, I believe that that would probably be a statement linking it to the previous thing. So, you could say like, wasa wuke aya kliatke. That could be a question. How good was it the other night or the other day? But that could also be a statement. Wasa wuke awe kliatke. Achoe wush kadnachw daat. It was so good. And then it becomes, it's a statement, right? And so it just kind of depends. If it's linked to something else, and it might not be a question, right? So you could say also, chosatin kliatke. Dasa hastujiye wutiin. I saw the other day what they had, right? And so it becomes, it can work either way, right? And just like the what and those things as well. I know where you're going. Like that's a statement, right? So I'm going to probably make this and go like that. Maybe add a couple commas. Maybe, I'll bring this up here so we can go default grid. Okay. And in this case, you might have to do a little, just a little bit of word rearranging, right? To see like, but then as you sort of go further in too, you might say, oh, maybe that was a question. Because, there's also kind of riddles and stuff like that you'll see speakers, especially in this era, these level of speakers, they're all talking together. So they are going to bring in,
Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat
Oh, Kanchishi Tuchta Masat Titzachan.
Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat
There's two parts to this verb. There's an object, and then there's going to be the prefix, which is in a future form.
Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat
Do you folks hear what comes next?
Oh, yeah, ye daat.
You
Oh,
do?
is my mic on? My bad.
That wasn't that bad.
Ch'áakw kahi oyai daat
Was that last semester? I don't. I shouldn't bring it up. Someone in one of my
Okay. I don't,
he's just saying the same thing again. And that's that hot mic. It's like, talk about me. Okay. One more time.
Ch'áakw ʼatángi daat.
Is it chat? I can't get it, but is it guk'tu like that or
Close. It's very close.
guk'tu?
Okay. Ch'áakw. And like, and working through this too, like as we practice, like it's like, what are we hearing? What are they saying? And then as we start to say this stuff, how can we get kind of fluid like that and not trying to like ramp up our language speed to like turn it up to 11, but just like the flow, right?
Ch'áakw ʻatángi daat.
And then how are we going to translate this? Because we usually hear this one, I think, as a command form. Ch'áakw.
If.
Thoughts, questions?
Yo.
We'll just jump to the next thing and come back to it.
Minister Ch'áakw Minister Ch'áakw
Sorry to jump back, but it took me a second to think about it. But is gachi, is that a prefix for you all future?
Yeah, so gachye every single time. That's when, and the vowel doesn't change. It stays gachye. You all are gonna every single time. That's an absolute for futures. Some of them, like it could be this, could be that, changes. That's one that changes, it stays. Y'all are gonna succeed. Y'all are gonna buy it. Y'all are gonna go there. So that's one where, and then you can add the classifier right after it too. So you could say gachyisaku. Y'all are gonna know it. Gachyiti. Y'all are gonna bring it there. Gachyiti. Y'all are gonna bring it out. Give you your like pre-big speech pep talk.
That's a good tip.
Ah,
Pay attention to that. Goodness, geez.
that gachye. That one. So then and sort of like once you hear it, like gachyu, okay, that's got to be a future. Then, okay, there's that gachye. I'm hearing it. So for the others, it gets a little bit trickier. Gachtu. That one will always be gachtu, but the vowel will get long sometimes. That's the only thing that changes with that. So no classifier or no vowel in the classifier, it'll be long. Gachtu at. Gachtu saku. Right. So the first one was long, the second one's short. This one's got a lot.
Minister Ch'áakw
As a minister, maybe we'll focus on this part.
And a
Minister
younger brother.
Ch'áakw
That was probably a place.
ʼatángi.
But then we got
Minister
right here.
Ch'áakw too. Too.
It's doodly too. Is that towards
Woodley
that?
too.
Would doodly too. Would doodly too. Huh?
Too.
Maybe it seems like there is like a bit of a vowel because
There's-
I would expect it could do that as well.
Didn't it? It kind of sounds like there's something between the ha and the Woodley too, though.
Yeah, let's.
Too. Too.
There could be a bit of like a stutter in there because it sounds like doodly too maybe
Too.
doodly too. Which
Correct.
ha doodly too, but I wouldn't because you could say doodly too, ha doodly too, but it doesn't sound like a two.
Too.
Maybe you could say a ha doodly too. So you could say something like that. And then there is this little bit of an extra thing before we even get to that. Which is coming out very fast.
Minister too. Minister too.
Should we try to slow it down?
Too. Too. Too.
So I do hear a yuck, right? And then there's
Too.
Is there a hey after the yah? Yuck.
maybe, okay, let's grab this.
Minister too. Minister too.
It's like more of a ha than a ha.
Oh,
A ha do.
I think the verb would be kind of like this, maybe.
Minister too.
Okay.
Was ayah.
Oh. Let's see.
Minister too.
What if it's
Ah,
Minister too.
any chance it could be K apostrophe E? That K?
like
No, just K apostrophe E. Like instead of yeah, she's how she always used that.
oh yeah.
Okay. Maybe
Minister too.
Or okay, if it was this, you might have a directional going upwards, followed by a directional meaning turning something over, and then we were taught at cake. But this is a what do they call it? $10 sentence. Jinkat dana, which you ʼatángi. Let's listen to it one more time and see.
Minister Ch'áakw hardly to you keep.
There is an extra syllable right there, but I'm probably going to suggest that there might be just a little bit of a false start in there. It could be two, but I would expect how dutli two.
Wonder if the next part.
Might
Oh,
reveal.
sorry. If the next part has something to do with like what he's saying there.
That's Ch'áakw Sunday. That's Ch'áakw Sunday. That's Ch'áakw Sunday. That's Ch'áakw Sunday. That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
Well, I got the sunny.
That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
Maybe. Oops, that should be long. I mean.
That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
What's that you two wooch?
Minister Ch'áakw hardly to you keep. That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
Well, Ch'áakw.
That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
Ch'áakw.
That's Ch'áakw Sunday. That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
That's probably this.
That's Ch'áakw Sunday. That's Ch'áakw Sunday.
Or maybe we'll say that. Ch'áakw dutli two kir. So I'm going to try and put some of this together. Here's what I would probably do, and this is something where I would probably take this chunk to a speaker as well and say, what are you hearing and what do you think it is? It could be this sentence is talking about converting people, right? And so just based on the types of things that they are going to talk about and that they plan to talk about, I do hear, because if this is, and like listening to some of this stuff, if this is a yach, it's correct. If this is a yach, it's like that. And if it's a yach, means it's turning over. When I listen to, I do hear a yach, maybe.
Minister Ch'áakw hardly to you keep.
Isn't there like an extra yeah in there too? Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too.
Maybe like a aya.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
But it's interesting too.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key. Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key. The Ch'áakw hadutli.
There could be something here as well. Because the other thing is you have what sounds like how dudley tu, which would mean we were taught. Like it's not the minister doing it. So there could be some things in here, like you could say ch'áakw. If there was a ch'áakw in there, it would be like the minister said.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
That's
The Ch'áakw hadutli too.
and there is another sound right there.
The Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
It could be
The Ch'áakw.
It's not, oh, okay, yeah.
man.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key. Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
It's that heh somewhere.
Oh,
Minister
Yeah.
Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
still not convinced on this part. Because I hear that vowel long. Like ch'áakw. Ch'áakw. Oh, maybe you could have like this. Hold on. If that is a verb, maybe it would be this one. But you've got like an S in there, so. Oh, wait, right here. But you don't really have, because you can have ch'áakw, which is the sunrise, the daybreak. But I don't really hear the underline on that K though.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
But for studying, you would expect shtu dudley tu. It sure sounds like
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
maybe that's not ha, maybe that's cha. Man.
Minister Ch'áakw hadutli too. Key.
Wonder would that ha do
Ah,
be like a word itself? Ha do.
yeah.
Too.
Was ka. Too.
Yeah, I'm hearing more like caw.
What's
Okay.
Minister Ch'áakw too.
And then maybe there's a bit of a vowel in there for some reason. Okay. So how, and we can come back and listen to this a million more times and figure it out and change our minds. How do we want to translate this for now, then?
Minister Ch'áakw too. You key.
Something.
Nilatola, how did you get his ways?
I just kind of like took a pull in the dark on a yach. I was like just brainstorming, like the minister yach.
Right.
Total guess.
It was like you were saying too, though, like yeah, like turning around, like the minister was teaching us opposite of what we learned. Something.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
That is what happened. I mean, down there, they convinced all of them to destroy everything they had.
Yeah. And they
Like
drove
a community event of burning it all.
silver stake into the ground and stuff.
Minister Ch'áakw too.
I still hear like K or something, like not like K, like not like K, but like K as in like upward, sort of. I don't know.
And if we go like this, then, you know, things are going upwards and turning over, right? And it seems like that seems to, maybe he's referencing conversion. It seems like it could work for that, right? It's like, it works for like turning something, whether it's you're physically turning it upside down, like, Ch'áakw on, it's a gate. That little beaver blew up the village and turned it upside down.
Because also in the larger context of this portion of the recording, he's talking about his spirituality and his beliefs. And he's saying, we're not agnostic people, we're not atheistic people, we don't create false idols. You know, the reason that the ministers were successful with us is that we already believe in a creator and, you know, and that these are our own beliefs. So it seemed like it was sort of a larger response to what Nat Geo had written about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like a good setup. Kaya, Minister Kaya.
Minister Ch'áakw.
It seems like there's three distinct vowels in there, though. Kaya.
Minister Ch'áakw too.
Okay, over the weekend, listen to that sentence a billion times.
What are
What are we gonna do with that one?
Well, slow it down. Is there any way that is Ch'áakw?
Ch'áakw, like a story? I think it's a contraction of which I would translate as me, though I never did it. Which is interesting. Because if you have hil yechsene, that's a really good, you know, like say someone's trying to get you in trouble, like hil yechsene, I didn't do it.
Well, that would go with the conversion part of the beginning of the right before it.
Yeah, which is maybe setting up. So he's sort of, I think, maybe setting up like, I know the old ways, you know.
That on Keith too, on the last part,
Mhm.
going back again. He's not from Cake though. He's from Ch'áakw.
Yeah.
So what else could he be referring to other than Keith Kwan? Because he's not from there.
Well, I think he might be saying like this was happening down in Cake, but I didn't convert, or it didn't happen to me, or we weren't being, it was being taught in sick.
Yeah, everybody was talking about
Yeah.
it during that time, you know, everybody was talking about it. Now I'm giving my age, but
Yeah, right. I mean, back then, I
Yeah.
mean, because
But-
it was in Heidelberg too. They signed a proclamation, you know, and so it could be because what he ends up talking about is like these things aren't in opposition. That's really what he ends up saying, is what I think he's saying. And so I think he's setting it up by maybe saying people were really being converted down in Cake, but me, I didn't do that. But and so maybe there's something else he's going to say that sort of helps clarify it too. Big stuff, big concepts, big language.
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas. Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas. Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas. Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas. Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
Wow.
There's that Kea again. Is anyone else hearing that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
I hear kina this time though.
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
That's what's
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas. Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
Gayness.
Something like that.
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas. Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
That might actually be a clay.
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
That's what I hear.
Is it yes or kageye?
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
Oh, so I've heard kageyes to say like for the benefit of something, and especially when it has to do with kind of a bigger concept than like we're gonna build this house for them. Nora was the one. She said hada chankiyan has to kageyes, and sometimes there's a kageye. Yes, and so it's sort of like it's kind of going against, like gonna go up against them, and it's also for them, kind of a thing, maybe.
Tekiswasakwateat kanakagayas.
Sounds like ʼatángi, which is really interesting. I would have that as over something. So you can say ʼatángi is over me, ʼatángi over it, ʼatángi over something. Maybe.
Tekeswasakwatiat kenakagayas.
Kagayas.
Tekeswasakwatiat kenakagayas.
Might be two separate words. It just would make sense in terms of things I've heard before. And then we'll see. We'll see what comes next, and then we'll come back.
Letkak aina hakahonegi. Letkak aina hakahonegi. Letkak aina hakahonegi.
I think well, that's a verb we just used today. Oops.
Tekeswasakwatiat kenakagayas. Letkak aina hakahonegi.
I hear ʼatángi.
Let's check it out.
Aina hakahonegi. Hakahonegi. Letkak aina hakahonegi.
Like that?
Letkak aina hakahonegi.
That's what I heard too. It just seems strange that he would say, I will tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Tekeswasakwatiat kenakagayas.
Okay. Well, the theme of tonight is 18 people make it 1 minute. Hilwasa atkina kagayas. Wow. I'll do that one myself. I got that one.
And we probably all agree with you. Boy, this kind of exercise just really cements my respect and admiration for Dick and Nora.
Yeah.
Man. And everybody else who has been doing transcription.
It is, and sometimes you'll hit chunks where it's like, okay, this is really flowing, but then you'll hit other things too, where they're stringing things together in a really high-powered way, right? Because you're supposed to use big words for big occasions. That's just really how the language works. And so, but it's also good to sort of come back and see, and then we can listen to it again, and we'll just keep going through. And these are really big topics as well that they start. They had a laundry list of some of the bigger topics, and so it's going to be interesting to see what kinds of things that they reveal. And then we can also, you can listen to some of the stories like Ch'áakw. He's telling Ch'áakw. I don't know if we have that recording, but if folks wanted to sort of, we got to start thinking about what's our midterm, what's our final. And so maybe our final is sort of doing a few minutes on our own of something else. And then we've kind of talked a little bit, just to start wrapping things up. We do, we converse, we study grammar, and then we translate. That's sort of what advanced Tlingit is, a lot of it is about. And then we need to think, is there a future 10 years from now where we have students working on these exact things? Or is it always something new? And that's always something that I kind of think about in terms of what it is now and what it's to become. So maybe sleep on that. And then he might, let's see, I don't know if he switches over.
Many years ago.
So I think he does switch over to English for the remainder of his talk. So who follows him? Forrest DeWitt? I guess listen to the recording again. I will share the Elan file that I just set up and also the separate wave file so that you can attach that. For some folks, maybe Elan, I think if you just add the movie file for some of the newer versions of Elan, you can look at you can see the sound file on there. But for the one that I got a new computer, so the one that I put on there, you have to add the wave file still. And it has to be a 16-bit wave file. So if you're ever working with audio and you're wondering why you can't see that wave file, it could be because you might have 32-bit audio and it can't see it. So you got to use an audio program to sort of resave it and lower that bit rate. So I would say listen to the recording again, think about what we have, and then try and get 30 seconds or so of the next, whenever either moves back into Tlingit or the next speaker. And then think about this. Even though we're not going to get to all the things that everybody said, it might take us all semester and maybe beyond. We might even divide. Maybe we could divide into groups and just work off this single recording and say, Group A, you got Forrest DeWitt. Group B, you got Henry Bremner. And Group C, you got George Davis. And they're all going to be, it's going to be heavy hitting stuff. It's going to be, but maybe this will give us something to sort of work on, and then we'll check back in every now and then and go through what you folks are coming up with. And then maybe the closing of the semester will be us saying a response to each of them. Just because they're sharing some big things with us. And then that gives us all semester to work through and then to just sort of say, it's fine if we're reading it, but it's fine if we're sort of just going to. And then you don't have to touch on like the core beliefs, but just like what would you say to them if you had a chance? Is that here? Okay, great stuff, everybody. So try, yeah. Let's see. How do you folks want to work on this? What do you want to do? You want to divide into groups, or should we just do that on Monday?
Let's do that on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, I think groups will be good too. Also, I just want to say quickly, I haven't studied or scheduled any study groups yet, but I don't know if people are interested in that this term. Yeah, Kusim, my study bud.
I've been missing it really bad.
I miss you too. Well, Yeah, if folks have ideas for times, what works. I know we're all super busy, but I bet we could squeeze in an hour or so or something like that.
We have a small group of beginners on Saturday night. I'm keeping it soft for somebody who's come, but it's using that same link. Saturday at 7. And 2 of us showed up in Gathertown last night, which is the little 8-bit video conferencing thing. There's information about it on Basecamp, and you can find the niche if you want to come speak Tlingit.
Okay. Jeez.
What time is that at? Such like
Dek Yagagi Dak Deshu, 6 o'clock on Tuesday.
These groups, Kune, are you talking like in class or like homework or outside, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, probably like outside of class, and then we come back and we see like what'd you and I don't know if we'll have the time or the coordination to be able to all work together on it, but it might be like you all will somehow be tasked with finishing it by the end of the semester. But I don't know. I guess some of them might speak longer than others too, so everybody's gonna sign up for the short one. But yeah, let's maybe think about it over the weekend, strategize, and let's start. Let's see. Let's start with a conversation topic for Monday. Anybody have any ideas? We've done food, cooking, traveling. Maybe I don't know. I guess think of something to say. Think of a few. Oh yeah, books we're reading. That's pretty good. And then just bring a few things to say, and then we'll try to come up with responses that we all can just put something together over the weekend and share a bit of language on Monday. We'll start with that, and then we'll move back into this, and we'll sort of start just moving through, but then we'll also break into groups in terms of like go work on this for a little bit, and then we'll come back and sort of see what we've got. Okay.
Suggestion for Monday, if each one of us thought of one thing to say to Carcross right now. They just lost another person, so that's Janina, 5 young people in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, because of drugs and that, and it's beyond belief.
Sheesh. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. We were going to do songs in intermediate Tlingit, and we pushed it off because of what's going on up there. So a lot of young people and overdoses, and yeah, so maybe words of encouragement that we would send to folks in across neighboring communities.
If we put it together, we could send it. It would be a nice thing to do, I think.
Okay. So yeah, let's start with that, because then that could be the morning or the sort of the beginning of class, and we could just send folks the link if they want to hear the messages. So words of strength and inspiration for our beloved inland community of Etasayin, El Chish.
Yeah, the Yukon has lost, I think it's 9 young people since January 1st.
My goodness.
Sorry to ask, but what are the clans, or like how would we address the community we're talking to?
On the Eagle side, you have Daklawedi, Yanyedi. On the Raven side, you have Ishkitan, Kokatan, Qanachtidi, Deshitan.
Jeez.
I'll put that in the chat. Okay. Yiguay Juan, el Chishuan, Queja.
That's Chish.
But to cheese to your course of team to gun.
Quequati.
Jeez.
Okay.
Jeez.
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 Beneficiaries,
Again.
Okay.
Cheese.
Queja.
Cheese. Cheese.
Okay.
Did I hear you say Ch'áakw?
Ch'áakw.
My dad's name is Ch'áakw.
Oh, really?
Kagwantan.
Oh, wow.
What clan is Ch'áakw?
He is Anchaketan or
Oh, that's strange. That's very close in names, but I guess it's two different things, huh?
Yeah, well, let me stop.